And then Smiley gets taken out of the dinner like restaurant in a stretcher and taken away in an ambulance. Hopefully she's okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my random ass videos. Although today's not a random video because it's another Baddies review from last night's episode of Baddies USA episode 2. I don't know what the episode name was, but we're going to be recapping Baddies USA episode 2 today. If you hear any background noises, that's my dog. So just ignore him, please, because he's being bad as hell. Alright, so in last night's episode of Baddies, there was so much going on that I had to rewatch it 2 times in order to get these notes, because there was just so much going on. There was fights here, fights there, it was just too much going on. So let's just get straight into it. Alright, so the scene opens up with Biggie running up on Smiley, and then Tinka and Killer are fighting in the midst of that. And then I guess Biggie and Smiley's beef stems from Miley talking about Biggie's dead boyfriend. I don't think I remember hearing about that, but that's crazy. So I understand why Biggie's this upset and trying to go at it with her. And then all I was thinking after that was, what is Smiley wearing in her confessional? I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but it's just what is she wearing in her confessional? Because at this point she's just playing. So after that, Suki and Sapphire walk in and they just look in complete shock. And then Biggie telling Sapphire to write down what's happening, she's she can't be serious. I literally couldn't even take her seriously. So I guess in the midst of Killa and Tinka fighting, I don't know how, I think that Killa's hat ended up on the floor, and then out of nowhere Tinka ends up putting it on, and then they square up. So while that's happening, Tommy and Scotty ends up walking in, and literally too much is going on to where I can't even keep up with all the fights that are going on. It's just a lot. So Tinka and Killa fight again, and at this point I forgot what even round that they're on, because they just been fighting back to back to back. And then Big Legs ends up wanting to fight Tavi and Fauna for jumping her at the reunion. And what I was wondering is, why didn't Fauna take off that hat and wig? Isn't that why she put on the swim cap? And then I guess Tanisha ends up arriving in the midst of all that happening. And what I was realizing was, why was Krishan literally trying to mediate every fight that was going on? Literally every camera scene she was literally in trying to break up every fight. Girl, back up. And then Krishan and Tasiki end up walking up to Summer to I guess confront her, and then Tasiki just smacks Summer. I was kind of expecting that to happen, and I was low-key excited to see it unfold and to see it finally happen. And then what I was realizing was Summer kept backing up, and it was getting scary. I know in the last episode she was saying that she was ready to see Tasiki and stuff, and she's not backing down, but it was given that she was backing up, because literally when Tasiki kept trying to go up to her, she was always trying to walk away and back up and get behind security. And in the midst of that, Gretch ends up on the floor, and then security ends up having to pick her up. I don't even know how she ended up on the floor, but while she was getting picked up by security, Tasiki was walking past her, and then she tried to dap up Tasiki, and then Tasiki was just fed up with her. That gave me secondhand embarrassment. And then Tasiki's trying to fight Summer, but Summer's scared, and she keeps on backing up literally the whole time. She did not want that with Tasiki. So I guess that Anna ends up hitting Smiley, and then Smiley has a seizure. I don't know if it's real or fake, but she's on the floor, and what I was noticing was she had Garfield undies, and that would match what a Garfield hat I have. I don't know if you guys seen that from previous videos, but that's all I was thinking, because I do have a Garfield hat. But Tommy's concerned, and then Mariah's explaining all the Smiley lore to Tommy, and I'm surprised she was able to tell all the lore that quick, because Smiley has a lot of lore behind her, if you don't know. And then Smiley gets taken out of the dinner restaurant in a stretcher and taken away in an ambulance. Hopefully she's okay. And then Krishan is like talking to Big Lex, and they're kind of like going back and forth. And then Krishan is like kind of like clocking like the big three's like team. And then I seen like other people like on TikTok trying to say like that they were like kind of clocking her, but I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like Krishan was clocking them. And then Tinka is talking to Rolly about how she feels about Tommy, like with the whole situation that happened on Midwest. If you guys didn't watch Midwest, but Tommy pew-pewed Tinka and Rolly. And then in the midst of that, Tinka ends up sneaking Tommy and snatching her wig off. So then Sapphire got her notepad and her big pencil, and then her and Suki were writing down the notes of everything that was going on. So then while Tasiki and Krishan are clocking the big three, all I noticed was Fauna like in the back, and you could like see that she was like smiling. You could tell that she was happy. And then Tasiki smacks Krishan again. Wait, what? Tasiki smacks Summer again for talking crazy. And what I noticed was Summer was like talking like crazy in her confessional. Like I already know Tasiki's about to get her again at the reunion. And then Summer really did not want to fight Tasiki, so Mariah ends up fighting Summer for Tasiki. And like, girl, you know you aren't. Well, I mean, they had previous beef, so I guess that like was coming. But girl, why would you fight Mariah but not want to fight Tasiki? Like, girl, you scary as hell. So Mariah and Summer are fighting, and it was kind of like giving tie. Like nobody was really like winning or like beating the other person. Like, too bad. And then Rolly and Tanisha had a conversation about past beef, about things that happened online between them, and then they ended up like squashing the beef and then hugging it out. And then what had me crying, like what had me dead, was when Tanisha was saying that she like really didn't want to come like to the show, and then Krishan was saying you're lying, and then that shit like had me crying as fuck. Cause girl, like, why are you in like every scene? Like, I swear, she's low-key funny for that. And then out of nowhere, Lemmy appears, and then he tells everyone that Natalie's like not really gonna be like on most of the season because she has like a lot of stuff going on. And I did see like stuff about that on TikTok. And then after that, he tells Scotty to like tell everyone like the announcement that she's pregnant. Like, I don't know, he just wanted everyone to know that he got Scotty pregnant so bad. That's how I felt. And then the scene goes to a situation where Krishan invited Marsh on the road for the Baddies tour, and then Tasiki and Marsh have previous beef from a past season, so where her and another one of Krishan's friends jumped her. So Tasiki wasn't too happy about that because she still needs that for Marsh. And then Krishan is saying that Tasiki is like trying to like act out and do like all this for the cameras because in like previous seasons in the past, like the fans have been saying like that she's boring and stuff, and she doesn't really do too much. So she feels like she's just only trying to show up for like the cameras and fans. And then some of the girls are in the sprinter to go to the next city. I forgot who was in which sprinter because there was so many girls. And then the other half of the girls, Killa, Tavy, Fauna, and Scotty, are in the other sprinter into the next city. And then Mariah, Tasiki, Biggie, and Honor are in a black truck going to the next city. And then they're discussing what just transpired between Tasiki, Krishan, and Marsh. Like, I think it was in front of a hotel. I don't know where they were at, but there was a lot of people outside that. And then Rolly says she decided not to fight Natalie because she knows she has a lot of stuff going on, like we just talked about. And then Summer's trying to clock Tinka and says she doesn't like Dolly. And then they're going back and forth about beef that they've had from a previous season, Baddies Midwest. And then out of nowhere, Dolly like runs up on Tinka in the next episode. We're gonna have to watch to see who wins, but it kind of looks like Dolly was getting the best of Tinka. And then it like goes into like the transition. And then it goes into the transition, like, into where it goes into next episode. So, next episode, it looks like a lot is going on, and it was hard to keep up, like, writing down everything that was going on. I kept having to, like, go back and trying to write stuff. It was, like, just too much. So, I guess the next episode, everyone's arriving to the house, and Natalie's waiting for them, like, to arrive. And then it goes into Tinka and Bad Dolly like rerunning like their fade because they fought on the bus, so they reran it when they arrived to the next location. And then in that fight too, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looks like Dolly got the best of Tinka. Again, I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna have to wait until next episode to see. And then Tasiki and Summer fight, I guess. I don't know. That's what it kind of looked like. And then Krishan and Tasiki are talking about like the situation that happened in front of the hotel, I think, or wherever they were, about her inviting Marsh like on tour with them. And then it looks like they were like getting like emotional about it, and it looks like a serious situation. And then it was Gretch, Lex, and Summer on the balcony, like watching like Tasiki and Krishan go back and forth. And out of nowhere, Summer yells for Krishan to beat Tasiki's ass. And then Lex ended up yelling at Summer and telling her to shut the fuck up. And then it just looks like next episode, like everyone's going to be getting on Summer because it just seems like everyone's fed up with her. And I'm fed up with her too. And then Rolly tells Summer to calm down, and she's like pushing her, like, and Summer really didn't want that with Rolly. He just keeps on dropping this damn bone. And then you could tell that Summer really didn't want that with Rolly, but we're gonna have to wait until next episode to see that. And then Tasiki was crying to Krishan because of the situation that happened. And then you could tell like that Tasiki's like still heard about the situation that's happened from past season, if you didn't watch that, where Krishan got Tasiki jumped by two of her friends. And my dog is going in on this bone, but that's pretty much all of the notes I've written down for this episode. Thank you guys for watching another Baddies recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment for more future Baddies recaps, and that's pretty much it. Let me go because my dog is going in on this bone, and he's probably being loud as hell, so I'll see you guys next Sunday for the next, well, not next Sunday, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right. I'll see you guys for the next Baddies recap. Bye, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and comment. Don't forget. Bye.
Let's go.